So here we are for another Flinder Talks, a little bit of a different backdrop to the office, out here in Port du Soleil in France for a bit of skiing. And actually what we wanted to talk about this time was the parallels of coaching people to ski and coaching people in the workplace. And you're obviously a skiing instructor, Luke.
Yep. So yeah, in skiing there's kind of 5 different techniques for teaching, all the way from direction all the way down to discovery. So what we're going to go into a little bit more detail when we're back at the chalet, sit down and do a full talk on it. Talking around how you can translate different skills in life across to business, how we impact it into our coaching, and how we run Flinder as well. So a bit of insight into that later.
And actually super important for us as a business, because effectively, regardless of the amount of technology that we leverage, we're down to our people, businesses, relationships, and actually coaching our people to do it our way is hugely important. So this is just a fun way to bring out how we do that at Flinder.
And we'll be back out here in about 4 weeks' time with the team,
4 or 5 weeks with
having
the
a
team
strategy
and some
session.
clients. So that'll be fantastic, won't it? So we'll finish this off back at the chalet and do a little bit on the slopes as well. So look, we're back from an absolutely fantastic day on the slopes again. Some great fun, some great rides, great après-ski at the Folie du Savoria. And now I think it's an opportunity for us to break into our Flinder Talks and just kind of go a bit deeper in terms of the lessons that you teach on a slope and how we actually, maybe the parallels of the lessons on the slope to what we do in Flinder.
Yeah, absolutely. So
first of all, should we cheers?
Yeah, cheers to a fantastic week.
Exactly.
Flinder takes peace. Part une, as they say. So yeah, I'm a PSIA, which is American Ski Instructor Qualification. And I thought it'd be kind of really interesting to talk around some of like the teaching methods you have, how that would translate back to the workplace. Naturally in accounting, we coach the team. We have to kind of be aware of people's different circumstances, their different abilities, their different levels, and that all kind of translates back into skiing as well.
Maybe it's worth saying that you're predominantly a skier. Yeah. I'm predominantly a snowboarder. So actually, when we're on the slopes, you give me hints and tips as well. Yeah. And then we obviously had a day of snowboarding and the role reversal there as well.
And actually, one of the things I took from that is trying to remember that thought of when I was on a snowboard. I was really nervous. I wasn't confident, so it's taking my mindset back out. And even if you think like we have associates come in and they don't understand accounting in the slightest, and that's kind of very relevant that for them it's a real challenge of we're throwing all these acronyms at them, we're throwing what profit and loss, a balance sheet is. They don't know what any of that is. And similarly, when I'm on a snowboard, when they're telling me to do something with my shoulders this way, it just doesn't make sense.
And actually, that's a really important lesson that I guess in accounting or in business we find very, very difficult to take ourselves back to, because it's been so long, so many years we've been doing it. But actually, when you jump from skis, where you're absolutely incredible, to a board, you were completely outside your comfort zone, back to the beginner level, but kind of trying to retain that memory of what it feels like into time, kind of taking it back to the people you teach in skiing and actually in the workplace.
And so like with skiing, PSIA's model on it is there's kind of 2 things that equate to learning. So they say there's the circle of fun, there's the circle of safety. If you combine those 2 things in the right method, your kids, your clients will learn. And that is the concept behind it. And again, that comes back to a safe environment to learn at Flinder. With an accounting practice, you need to make it a safe environment for them to learn.
And what I guess a lot of people don't realise is that it's fun as well to be an accountant.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, it should
Maybe
be.
not as much as fun as skiing, but it's still fun. Huh?
But similarly, you can make it fun in different ways, and so this kind of links back into the skiing already. So you can make skiing fun by going on little bunny hops. You can go on a different blue run. You can mix up the terrain. So actually using the environment around you. So to bring it back to Flinder and accountants, you have different types of clients. We work with kind of really exciting tech clients. So there's the variety you can bring, and that's how you can make it fun. So it's mixing that sort of style up, that allows the fun element and then kind of the learning. But just to kind of get into and I have got my prompt here to remember the exact words they use, but there's 5 different teaching styles that we have. So you've got the command, you've got the task, you've got the reciprocal, you've got guided discovery, and you've got problem solving. So the 5 different areas.
It's quite interesting, those terms, because those terms very much, you wouldn't associate them with sport necessarily, or skiing. You would associate them with business, wouldn't you? So already the terminology kind of is directly translatable across the different fields.
And that's why I think it's very relevant. So to start off on the first one, the command it's like the instructor, the person taking the lesson, they tell the person what to do. It's as simple as that. They follow an instruction. And this is through different kind of levels, and typically at beginner, at lower levels, it will be the more command, the task related, whereas at a more experienced level, it's going to be the problem solving, it's going to be kind of guided discovery. So different techniques are relevant at different points in time. So to try and bring it back to kind of skiing instruction, you might, as a beginner, be told, let your skis run in a straight line. That's just a straight glide.
Yeah.
Simple as that. You're told what to do, you do it. Whereas in kind of the business world, it might be, you might be able to help me here and think of an example off the top of your head, but a command is you're told maybe reconcile this transaction. This is what you do. You don't explain why or
and
what.
actually probably something more that's time sensitive that needs to be done. You're probably commanding someone to do it rather than sitting there and helping them find the destination or coaching them through it. Time sensitive aspects, very much kind of probably command led, I would have thought.
Yeah, that's good point, absolutely. So then if you then kind of lead on to the task, it's a bit more, you kind of set it out, you then demonstrate, and then you ask them to repeat it. Yeah. So it's a bit further on than a command, and you give them a little bit more freedom with it. So a good example for a task would be an early stage in skiing, after you do some just straight gliding, like 2 skis gliding, you might have, the instructor might stand 10 metres down the slope, throw a ball at them so they have to reach up in the air, and then you ask them to do a small plough to come to a stop. So
with the ball?
With a ball just in the hand, gets them moving around. So I take a ball with me onto the mountain when I'm teaching beginners. And then so they'll slide down straight towards me. I throw a ball so I have to reach up, it gets them extending, it gets some movement going, and then I ask them to come to a gradual stop.
And is the extension part of getting used to the point of turn, or what's the point of the extension?
No, it's just balance, dynamic.
Balance,
you might get them to go in straight line, just jump, because actually to jump you've got to be centered over your skis. If you ever kind of on skis, or I'm sure rollerblades, if you're leaning backwards and you try and jump, your legs are going to go. If you lean forward, you're going to tip forward. So you've got to be nice and centered.
It's pretty much one of the main challenges I have when I ski. I know I lean back too much, right?
We can show some other footage of that.
Maybe not.
So that's command and task. Reciprocal. So this is it comes a little bit more fun element of it as well, and you can break down and get within the group that you're teaching, you can get them to look at each other, they learn off each other. So actually when you're moving around the mountain a little bit more, this works really well. And the way I can think of it, from like what we do in Flinder, it'd be kind of peer learning almost. That actually we say to one of the associates, you've gone through and done this before, like one of the more senior guys has given you a task to go off and do it. Now you go and sit down with one of your peers and go through how you would have done it, and then come back and ask questions. And we do that in skiing a lot. So the instructor may kind of ski down 50, 100 metres, and they say, down here I want you to try X, Y and Z, or I want you to try just lifting your inside ski as you go around the turn. Again, it really helps with balance. And as they're coming down, they do it in pairs, and then you say, right, how did your partner do? And they say, oh yeah, they lifted 3 out of the 5, they did really well. Or how could they do better? So you're kind of guiding them to the right answer.
No, I like that. And what sort of level of skill would someone have that can lift their ski, very pronounced, and lift their ski as they go down the mountain? How many weeks of experience would they have?
So you'd be surprised. I would do it with people that have been on skis for the first time. And then similar when we were on the mountain today, one of the things, a couple of the guys that were skiing with us, they've skied 4, 5, 6 weeks, and I kind of said to them, try lift that inside ski. So actually, if you're lifting your ski at a slow pace when you're doing a small plough versus your parallel skier, more advanced, being able to lift that ski is a skill as well. So actually it's just about balance.
And one of the things, obviously, when we were going down, we've skied many times together, is you actually ski with one leg kind of elevated and the other one just as you kind of floating down the mountain like that, and then switch again, just improving your balance, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess there's an element of it when you're with friends, you kind of trying to show your best skills to people.
Hence the 360s.
Hence the 360s and stuff like that. But actually there's a really good element to it that whilst you're never going to be skiing naturally all over one foot, if you can turn both ways on one foot, you get used to actually having the pressure on your inside and outside of the foot. Whereas typically when you're skiing, if you're, for example, turning around to the left, your outside foot will be the dominant one.
Your right foot,
a lot of your weight will be on the inside edge of your right foot. but actually you're wasting this whole ski. So if you can get used to having on the outside of your left foot as well, and that's kind of doing 1 foot skiing really helps with that. And you have to be in a balanced position to do that, because it's impossible to lift your
I think when I ski, if we're turning to the left, bear in mind skiing is not my favourite discipline. I'm much more comfortable on a board. Don't have to think. Obviously, think a lot more when skiing. I'll probably lift my leg and don't use, unless I'm coming to a parallel stop, don't use the left as much pressure on it.
Yeah, and I'm exactly the same. If I want to come to a really quick check stop, I'll turn to my left, because my right foot's more dominant.
Interesting. Yeah. I think I would probably do that as well. You're right-footed then. You play football. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So that was reciprocal, and the next kind of step up almost is what we call guided discovery, and that will be you kind of perhaps explain a circumstance. You say to people, right, let's ski down this run and just try and turn with as much rotation as possible, or let's only ski on our edges. And you kind of then say to them, right, what did you experience? What did you feel? You get different ideas back from the group, and then you pick up on the right ideas, or you speak about some other ideas which aren't right along the right lines, but you can talk about why they're perhaps good in other circumstances. And it does get to probably a little bit more advanced level that you start doing that. But again, it's giving a bit more trust, a bit more freedom to go away and kind of learn. Example I could think of that is perhaps like on review of financial statements could be an example. Someone that's not that experienced in reviewing financial statements, you might say to them, look, right, okay, let's go away and let's look at the revenue standards, see whether you think in the revenue standards you've done the right disclosures. So you're giving them hints of where they should be looking. They can quite easily find the right answer. They come back and they bounce the idea off you, and then you kind of steer them in the right direction again. So that's kind of guided discovery. And the last one would be around problem solving. A little bit more of a step on from the guided discovery that I just spoke around, but actually what you're doing with there is you say, right, you present more of a problem to someone. That could be actually saying someone's leaning back too much. You guys go away.
One of my main challenges on skis.
What made you think of it, but no. You can say, right, someone's leaning back too much on their skis. In pairs, you go away and play with that. Lean really far back, and you work out how would you solve it, what would you do to correct it, and then that gives the clients, the people you're teaching, that gives them the chance to go away and say, right, I'm gonna lean forward, let me pretend, like kids, let me pretend I've got an egg in the front of my boot and squash that
oranges,
egg. Oranges, squeeze that orange.
Squeeze
I've
the oranges.
said to you before. And that's what kind of problem solving is. So you present a problem to them, you say, right, actually down here it's really icy, let's go ski on the icy bit deliberately. What are you going to do to ski better on that? They have to come up with techniques on it, and hopefully they go, actually, if I try and get my edge into it, it's not going to bite because it's too icy, I'm just going to skid across. Actually, it's easier just to go flat on it and just slide straight across the ice.
It's one of the challenges on the snowboard, because you've only got one plane you're playing with as well, of course.
Yeah, and
there's two planes on the skis.
You've got two independent legs to
balance that.
Balance as well. So
it's the advantage of skiing.
It is, and flats. So they're the kind of 5 styles that we talk through. And so to give kind of an example back to kind of the business world, I'd say that's where you get to probably more senior members of staff that you say to them, okay, actually, it's taken us too long to do payment runs. Go away and work out. Hopefully I go and research what technology there is. Are we certain clients, is it when we've got low volume of invoices it takes us too long, is it high volume of invoices, etc. So we kind of think about different areas like that, and that's what I'd say, kind of problem solving and how to link it back.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, PSA, is that what it is? What's
PSIA?
PSIA, what's it stand for?
Professional Ski Instructors of
America.
And it might even be snow sports instructors,
right,
actually.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so actually their model, those 5 steps you just described, I guess kind of subconsciously we do those within Flinder, but actually we probably don't call it out as a methodology in itself, do we? And we've obviously, have had coaching ingrained within us at PwC, but actually we don't call out the steps as part of how we coach people and teach people how to coach as well. but we do it subconsciously.
We obviously got a bit of an audience here as well, being away, and one of the one of the rules this week was anytime you mentioned that price Waterhouse in abbreviations.
Okay, so here we go.
I did wonder what was happening then when everyone was pointing at me.
There we go. I have to drink. Hey.
Very good.
I have to drink
Thanks,
two fingers for saying the word PwC. Yeah.
There you go. You just did it again, so you can have another couple. So and that's why I don't think it's necessary to call it out in terms of this. So actually, in the way it might highlight it that people do have different learning styles. It is ingrained with you. Like we've gone through fantastic training at.
What's the firm called again? Where do we work?
No, I'm not doing it. Where did we work? We went through fantastic training, so you kind of naturally get that built into you. But similarly, it comes back to sort of the other conditions. So when you're skiing, the weather is a massive condition. So you think we're seasoned skiers, snowboarders. We've been fortunate enough to go away kind of many times. But actually, if you're going away and this is your 1 week of sport in the year, if it's hot, you're going to be sweating your ass off on that mountain. You're physically unfit. It's going to be really, really tough. To the flip side, it might be someone that's really athletic and fit, but it might get really cold. They've never experienced cold, high altitude, the oxygen levels are different.
And it really does affect your breathing and kind of how you cope with the fitness as well.
Absolutely, and they're all things you have to kind of factor in when you're teaching children's, adults, whatever it is on the mountain. And so having a break at the right time, mixing it up. Like you don't teach people for 5 hours solid on the mountain. They will lose concentration.
And one of the big lessons is don't push it too much on the last day or the last few hours of the day. Actually know your limits, because it's going beyond the limits is when accidents happen. When you talked about the kind of, you almost have a Venn diagram of fun and safety, the safety part of it, and actually it can impact the fun as well, because if you've got tired legs, it is less fun towards the end of the day. Visibility is hard, it becomes icier when skiers and boarders push all the snow off and it becomes more icy. That's when accidents happen, right?
And it just reminded me of a point that it comes back to what does the person want to learn as well. So links back into, we've just gone through our objectives process. So actually, at an associate level, they will have to go and do X, Y, and Z. There's a little bit less kind of flexibility in it. They need to pass their qualification. That's what they come in to learn. But senior associates, managers, they might say, right, actually, I've really got an interest in statutory reporting, or I want to become a people manager, a people person. And asking them what they want to learn, we can then, as flinder, tailor our recruitment plans to that, the opportunities we give them. Exactly the same with the kids. So I say at the beginning of the week, what do you want to come here and do? Most of them will say, I want to ski fast and do lots of jumps. You have to kind of, you have to try and tone them back and say, oh, actually.
Which is interesting, because you obviously teach kids when you go away and you're an instructor. When you give hints and tips, it tends to be with adults. I'm not sure adults would have quite the same. They probably want to ski more controlled than fast.
And adults tend to understand the biomechanics behind it as well. So skiing is all about biomechanics, but you can't sit and talk to a kid and say, right, your knee's a hinge joint, that won't rotate. Rotation comes from your hip. If you talk to a kid like that, they're just not going to understand it. So actually with a child, you'd say, right, let's try and make a bow tie shape in the snow. And for them to do that successfully...
Kid knows how to make a bow tie?
Well, they know what the shape of a bow tie is, hopefully, and you can draw it out on the snow, they can copy the picture. But to achieve that, they will rotate from their hip joint, but you wouldn't tell them they're doing that. So the terminology you use, and I think we do that with kind of associates. We will tell them something in a simplified form.
Again, that's tailoring your message to the audience so they understand it. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why it's so kind of relevant to bring back, and the sort of weather conditions. So actually, if you're under time pressure, you will adapt your teaching style. You will use more task-based. If you're under time pressure, as you kind of alluded to earlier, whereas actually if we're in a quieter period, you'd say to someone, you go away and research this, you go and work out the problem yourself.
So a little bit like our last run down from partying in the Folly Deuce, when we had a limited amount of time to get down, get to the boss, so there's less coaching, more direction, more command, just to get down the mountain.
Hurry up,
to hit the boss. Like, follow me, do it. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. So it adapts it in that way.
Cool. Anything else you want to share as final words?
I can't think of anything else.
Other than the fact we've had an incredible time here.
It's been amazing.
We've had a good 4 or 5 days skiing on Flinder Takes a Piece, the first ski trip of this season. Got another one coming up in 5 or 6 weeks, as you mentioned at the top of this. which will be bringing the team out and a few clients, which will be fantastic.
Yeah, and I hope people kind of enjoy the view, like the intro we did from up the mountain
we've
earlier.
Got a beautiful view behind us in the chalet here as well. It's a little bit dark
to
see. We obviously had quite a long time in the mountain, so it's good. Everyone enjoying themselves so far? Woo! Yeah. So I guess we'll catch you on the next Flinder Talks, and I hope you enjoyed the parallels of skiing, coaching on the mountain, and
was that a pun talking about parallel? Or
it was. It was a little subliminal thing there. So yeah.
Excellent. Cheers, guys. Have Flinder Takes a Piece Part 2 coming up.
Catch you soon.